You already know what you're going to do, so why are you telling everyone about it? There's a pull, almost magnetic, to announce the plan, explain the decision, justify the direction you're heading. We've been taught that sharing is connection, that openness is strength, that if you talk about your goals loudly enough, the world will somehow hold you accountable. But the Stoics saw something different, something quieter, something most people miss entirely. Silence isn't absence, it's armor. Every time you explain your next move before you make it, you trade a piece of your momentum for a moment of validation. The applause feels good, the nods feel like support, but underneath, something leaks. Focus, energy. The private fire that was driving you forward gets diluted the moment it's exposed to the crowd. Marcus Aurelius didn't build his discipline by posting about it. Epictetus didn't announce his freedom. They moved. They acted. They let the work speak in a language that needed no translator. Real power doesn't perform, it produces. And yet, here we are, in a world that rewards the announcement over the achievement, the caption over the character, the highlight over the habit. This is about 7 Stoic lessons that will change the way you move through the world. Quietly, deliberately, powerfully. If you're ready to stop performing your life and start protecting it, comment "I build in silence" below. Let that be the last thing you announce for a while. Stop explaining your life. Start building it. Here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Oversharing isn't a personality trait. It's a symptom. It's what happens when validation becomes a substitute for progress, when the feeling of being understood starts to feel more urgent than the work of actually becoming. And the modern world didn't just allow this, it engineered it. Every platform, every feed, every notification system was built on one core insight. Human beings are wired for social approval. We always have been. But the difference between ancient communities and the world you're living in now is that the ancient world made you earn the approval after you acted. The system hands it out in advance, just for announcing your intentions. Think about what that does to your psychology. You tell 5 people about the business you're starting. They respond with enthusiasm, excitement. That sounds amazing. Suddenly, your brain registers a hit of reward, the same neurochemical cocktail that should only come after achievement. Researchers at New York University have studied this exact phenomenon. When you share a goal publicly, your brain treats the sharing as a form of completion. The hunger that should be propelling you forward gets partially fed, not by results, but by the idea of results. You feel accomplished without having accomplished anything. And that gap, that's where most dreams quietly die. The Stoics didn't have neuroscience, but they had something sharper: observation. Epictetus watched people talk endlessly about virtue while living the opposite. Seneca spent years studying the Roman elite. Brilliant, ambitious, relentlessly self-promotional, and noticed that the loudest voices were rarely the most powerful ones. The truly powerful moved differently. They kept counsel with themselves. They guarded their intentions the way a general guards battle strategy, because that's exactly what your goals are, a battle strategy, and you don't hand those to the enemy. But let's be honest about who the enemy actually is. It's not the people you tell. Most of them mean well. They're not trying to steal your momentum or poison your ambition. The enemy is the part of you that mistakes the map for the journey, that confuses announcement with action, that has learned through years of social conditioning that being seen trying is almost as good as succeeding. Almost. Except it isn't. Because trying without achieving leaves a different residue than achieving without an audience. One feels like performance, the other feels like power. And there's something else at play, something more insidious than psychology. When you explain your choices, your career pivot, your changed values, your new boundaries, you implicitly hand other people the authority to approve or disapprove of your direction. You open yourself to the weight of their doubt. You invite the subtle sabotage of unsolicited opinions from people who have never walked the path you're walking. You don't need their permission. You never did. But the moment you ask, even indirectly, through oversharing, you've already conceded something important: your sovereignty, your right to move without justification. Your life does not require a caption. So what does it actually look like to stop explaining and start building? It starts with 3 foundational shifts, 3 Stoic lessons that form the bedrock of a quieter, more powerful way of living. Lesson 1. Guard your goals like state secrets. Marcus Aurelius governed an empire. He made decisions that affected millions of lives. Military campaigns, political alliances, economic policy, and he did most of it in the quiet interior of his own mind before it ever reached the public sphere. His private journals, what we now call the Meditations, were never meant to be published. They were a man talking to himself, refining, questioning, strengthening his resolve in complete private. No audience, no applause. Just the work of becoming. That's the first lesson. Your goals are not press releases. They are seeds. And seeds don't germinate in the spotlight. They germinate in darkness, in pressure, in quiet. Every person you tell about your goal before it has roots introduces a new variable. Their belief system, their limitations, their fears. None of that belongs in the soil of something you're still growing. Keep it close. Protect it. Let the outcome be the announcement. Lesson 2. Discipline lives in private. Epictetus was born a slave. He had no title, no wealth, no social standing, and yet he became one of the most formidable philosophical minds in human history. When asked how, he pointed not to any external advantage, but to the interior work, the daily, unseen, unrewarded practice of governing his own mind. Make the best use of what is in your power, he said, and take the rest as it happens. You don't see discipline, you see the results of it. The person who wakes at 5 in the morning doesn't need to announce it. The clarity in their eyes speaks first. The athlete who trains in the off-season doesn't need to broadcast it. The performance reveals it. Discipline is not a performance. It is a private agreement you make with yourself, renewed daily, without ceremony. When you stop performing your discipline and start practicing it, something fundamental shifts. The practice becomes its own reward. The silence around it becomes its own protection. Nobody can disturb what nobody knows about. Lesson 3. Let silence disqualify the wrong voices. Here's something counterintuitive. When you stop explaining yourself, some people get uncomfortable. They push, they question, they interpret your quietness as arrogance or secrecy or weakness, and your instinct, conditioned by years of social training, will be to reassure them, to explain, to justify. Resist it, because their discomfort with your silence is information. It tells you whose support was always contingent on your transparency, whose investment in your journey was really about their need for access, not your actual well-being. Cato the Younger understood this instinctively. In the Roman Senate, surrounded by politicians who traded words like currency, Cato became famous for his economy of speech. He didn't argue when silence was sharper. He didn't explain when action was clearer. And in doing so, he naturally separated the people who respected him from the people who merely wanted to use him. Your silence will do the same work. When you stop providing a running commentary on your decisions, the people who truly belong in your circle will stay, not because they understand every move you make, but because they trust the person making the moves. And the ones who need constant explanation, constant transparency, constant justification, they'll drift. Let them. Their departure isn't a loss, it's a filter. There's a thread connecting all 3 of these lessons, and it runs deeper than strategy. It runs all the way down to identity. When you guard your goals, practice private discipline, and let silence sort your relationships, you are doing something the Stoics considered the highest form of human work. You are building a self that doesn't depend on external confirmation to feel real. A self whose value is intrinsic, not crowdsourced, not constructed from likes and validation and the approval of people who will be strangers in 5 years. You are becoming someone who moves from the inside out rather than the outside in. That's not just personal development, that's freedom. The first 3 lessons clear the ground. They remove the noise, the leaking, the performance. But the next 3 go further. They don't just teach you what to stop doing, they show you what to build in the silence you've created. Lesson 4. Your boundaries don't need a backstory. Somewhere along the way, you learned that saying no requires an explanation, that declining an invitation, stepping back from a relationship, or protecting your time and energy needs to be justified to the people it affects. The Stoics would find this deeply strange. Seneca wrote extensively about the tyranny of other people's schedules, other people's demands, other people's definitions of what you owe them. Omnia aliena sunt, tempus tantum nostrum est, he wrote. Everything else belongs to others. Time alone is ours. You are not obligated to explain why you're protecting your time. You're not required to justify your limits with a story that earns sympathy. A boundary stated clearly and calmly is complete. I'm not available for that. That doesn't work for me. Full stop. No footnotes. No apology tour. When you add the explanation, you invite negotiation, and negotiation is how boundaries collapse. The person who respects your boundary without needing the story is showing you something valuable about who they are. The person who demands the backstory before deciding whether your limit is acceptable is showing you something equally valuable, something you should not ignore. Lesson 5. Let your results do the talking. This one sounds obvious. It rarely gets practiced. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, is said to have pointed to his own 2 ears and 1 mouth as a natural reminder of proportion. Listen more, speak less. Let the ratio be written into how you move, but in a world built on personal branding, self-promotion, and the constant performance of expertise, listening less and claiming more has become the dominant strategy. Everyone is loudly establishing their credibility before they've done the work to earn it. You don't have to play that game. When you let results accumulate quietly, something interesting happens. The results speak in a register that words can't reach. They carry weight that announcements never will. People don't remember what you said you were going to do, they remember what you did. And when the gap between those 2 things is 0, when you consistently deliver without pre-announcing, your reputation becomes something nobody can manufacture with words alone. It becomes earned. Do the work, then let the work introduce you. Lesson 6. Stop feeding the noise. Let it starve. Modern life generates a constant invitation to react. Opinions flood every channel. Drama cycles through your feeds like weather patterns, predictable, recurring, oddly compelling. And every reaction, every response, every public engagement is a small leak, a tiny expenditure of the energy you need for the work that actually matters. Marcus Aurelius faced this at a scale most of us will never encounter. As emperor, he was surrounded by sycophants, critics, conspiracy, and chaos. His journals are full of one recurring practice, returning to what is actually within his control. Not the opinions, not the gossip, not the noise, just the choices in front of him, in this moment, with the faculties he was given. You have the same choice, every single day. The gossip that's circulating about someone you know, you don't have to engage with it. The online argument that's calling for your participation, you don't have to answer it. The drama inside a group you belong to, you don't have to become its fuel. None of this is indifference, it's discernment. There is a profound difference between someone who doesn't care and someone who has decided, deliberately and with full clarity, that their energy is too valuable to waste on noise that will mean nothing in 6 months. Silence in the face of provocation is not weakness. It is, as Epictetus would say, the clearest possible demonstration that you understand the difference between what is yours to control and what was never yours to begin with. That understanding is architecture. It is the structure on which a powerful, quiet life is built. 6 lessons in, and something is already shifting. You can feel it, the way silence begins to feel less like absence and more like intention, less like isolation and more like focus. The 6 lessons so far have been about removing, protecting, discerning, and building. But the 7th lesson is different. It's the one that ties everything together. It's the one the Stoics saved for the people who were actually ready to hear it. Lesson 7. Become someone who needs no audience. This is the deepest cut. Because everything we've talked about, guarding your goals, practicing private discipline, holding your boundaries without explanation, letting results speak, refusing to feed the noise, all of it points to a single destination, a self that is genuinely self-sufficient, not in a cold, disconnected way, not in the way of someone who has simply stopped caring, but in the way of someone who has found, through discipline and silence and private work, that their interior life is so rich, so grounded, so alive, that the external approval they use to chase starts to feel like a poor substitute for something they already have. Seneca calls